So we had our first game as a team, and it was tough. It was very rough on the kids. I'm not sure if it was a grading game or if it was round one. I was a bit confused by the way the fixture was named in the app that we get. But we came up against a team which was pretty similar to ours. They looked like they were fairly fresh and new. But the other team had one player who, in my opinion, was probably way too good for the whole age level, the whole under eights category. He probably should be playing in a higher division. He was that good. And I could tell pretty quickly because not only was he all over the place doing everything, he scored all the points for the team, and any other player that scored, he assisted them. And it was just the way he was passing. He was passing in front of his teammates into space, so they would run onto it, and so they were already running into the direction of the ring. Instead of a lot of kids would just pass directly to the person, this kid was passing to space. So his teammates would run onto it and be free, and it was very smart. He was a very smart player for an underage kid. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was very interesting to watch, and he was a great player, but unfortunately for my squad, for my kids, it was not a great introduction to them as a first game playing together. It's probably a bit of a false reflection of where they are. It was very hard for them to play as a team because this kid was just intercepting everything and just he was everywhere. He was incredible. So they looked a little bit dejected towards the end of the first half when nothing was going our way. Legitimately nothing was going our way. We couldn't get the ball out of our half. And the ref at this level usually will help, and they'll back the other team off and get your team a few passes of the ball before they just do whatever. So they ended up doing that, and we did score a couple of points. So it was good, and the kids were wrapped, and they had a great time celebrating a teammate's basket, which was awesome to see. And the game overall just gave me a better idea about where they stand as players. There's a few kids that really surprised me, the way they would put themselves like into the game and be involved. One of the kids in particular I thought would be very shy and try to tend to float more to the outskirts of that pack game that I spoke about in the first video. When kids play sports together, you should just run around in a pack rather than, playing a position or whatever. But this kid really put himself in there and got involved. And it was very nice to see that he had that confidence to go in there and just start, trying to get the ball off somebody else, trying to get the ball off his teammates and pass and get his hands in there and get involved. It was really good to see. Very surprising too, because I thought he might be the shy one. But overall, was kind of interesting to see that when we did get the ball, we were kind of a bit lost on what to do, which for the first time playing together, and a lot of the kids playing the game for the first time in a proper game, a full court game, they kind of looked a bit unsure. So I was on the court some of the time just trying to direct traffic and everything. So it's given me a few things to potentially work into training sessions now. The game was a few days ago, but today at the time of recording, it's a Monday. We just had our next training session. And I got the kids involved in trying to work as a team in the way that they push themselves up the court. So I tried to make it a bit of a competition. I put 4 cones at the halfway line, and I got them to separate into pairs, and I would give one player the ball, and each player had a direct opposite cone further down the court into the key. And I said, everyone who doesn't have the ball has to get to their cone before the player with the ball dribbles to his cone. And I pretty much instructed them, you guys look like you're fast enough. Do you think you can beat him? Like, yeah. So they were really into it, and they were into it for a good 10, 15 minutes. They really wanted to run as fast as they could and beat their teammate who was dribbling. And obviously we mixed up the teams and they all took turns. But the point of that little exercise was to get them to run into the key when their teammate has the ball. They might not have realized that was their teammate. But then once they got to the cones, they were to pass the ball in a zigzag way to each other, and then one person would end up shooting. So it was trying to get them, not even to realize just yet because it's too much information to take in, but just trying to get in that habit of, when we're going with somebody with the ball, we can run in front of them, because during the game, they were kind of like, they would give the guy the ball and then like sort of walk behind them and not sure what to do. So the person with the ball never knew what to do, and we were never moved up the court. So this would hopefully give them more of confidence to, see someone with the ball and run past them into somewhere they could get the ball. Hopefully that's the idea of it. Whether it works or not, we'll see this weekend. It's probably a drill I'm going to keep doing with them. They seem to enjoy it a lot, and I think they could get a lot of value from it. It's something I could probably call back to maybe in a couple of weeks in a game if they keep doing that, sort of like not really sure where to go. I'll probably just remind them of the drill that we always do, where we always try and run forward into the box kind of thing. And another surprising thing is that we have another player, a 10th player on the squad. We had 9. We only had 8 on the weekend. One player has been away on holidays, but now we have a 10th player. So it'd be interesting to see if all the kids keep turning up and nobody pulls out, how the game's going to go with a starting 5 and then a bench of 5. It will kind of reduce maybe the minutes of everybody. It's going to be hard to stay on top of the substitutions. That was one thing that I struggled with on the game on Saturday, was trying to give everyone the same playing time. I had a schedule sort of in my notes. I had a little notepad with, what player would come off roughly what time. But my son kind of froze up when he started and didn't want to get involved and wanted to come off straight away. And every time he did go on, kind of did the same thing for a while. So it was hard to get him involved. Towards the end of the game, he was a bit happier to try and get the ball and do everything, but he was a bit nervous for most of the game, which was understandable. It's his first time playing a real game in his own team, and he's only had like one training session. So I told him not to worry, and I tried to reinforce that it's okay to not know what to do, and we're all figuring it out together. I lost complete track of who was on, who was off, and because I don't know everyone's name yet, it was kind of hard to call people out by name for subs and all that kind of thing. So it was a bit of a mess, but we will get smoother with that. And now with that 10th player, the simple idea would be to be, okay, well, we can have 5 on the court, 5 off, and we'll just sub 5 for 5 and like swap teams basically. But I'm not sure that would be the best for the kids playing with each other, because you get those 5 kids who are only used to playing with one set of kids, and then they completely swap, and those people who are on the bench will never get to play with the people who are on the court. So it will probably have to be a bit of a complicated sub 2 off, and then in a couple of minutes sub 3 off, another 3, and then sort of keep rotating every couple of minutes like that. I'm just trying to do right by the kids and make sure everyone gets a fair go and a good chance to play with everybody. So the new kid has never played a game before, but he looks like he came in and he had like muddy legs. So I know he was like running around in the grass today, probably playing footy or something. So he fit in straight away. He was willing to have a go, and he looked like just the type of kid who's like naturally into sports. And his dad gave me that impression when I met him too. So there's no problem. I think he'll be a great fit. The hardest part about the really tough first game was that not only was I frustrated for the kids not being able to have a fair chance of playing the game, their first game together, but it's kind of difficult to stay positive the whole time, just naturally, because some of the urges that would bubble up would be trying to over-instruct or trying to like tell kids to, run back on defense and go forward and attack and whatever, but maybe they don't really understand those terms. What does get back mean? What does defend mean, completely? Since it's all new for them. So that was in my mind the whole time the game was playing, of what exactly I was instructing the kids to do. And so most of the time I'm just trying to be a bit of a cheerleader, and I'm trying to encourage them. Good job. Pass. Dribble. Who wants the ball? To try and get them to call out for it. Who wants the ball? Hands up when we're defending. So my voice was sore by the end of it. I was just trying to keep the kids going, and it was frustrating because you know, it's hard watching the kids lose and get like not get to play. But I know they've got some really good players in them, and it'd be great to see them have a fair game next week. Hopefully they get to enjoy themselves a bit more and can express themselves with a bit more confidence. The other thing that I was a bit mindful of when training came around today was trying to get them to be a bit more active in defending in a way without trying to be like a defensive-minded coach right now. They should be having fun. So when we were doing our warm-ups, I tried to involve, after we did a few, left hand, right hand, both hand dribbles, I tried to split them up into pairs, and one person would dribble and the other person would basically try and stay next to them / in front of them. And I showed them that crab walk thing again, where I was like, all right, this is how we do it. And I showed them, and I tried to use that term, be like a crab kind of thing, to try and get them to have a bit of fun with it. But also, sort of reinforce that movement of staying with your hands up and running next to someone without falling over yourself kind of thing. So a lot of the kids got involved, and I made sure it was like, don't try and take the ball. All we're doing is practicing running, and the other person try and go a bit slower so they can keep up, just to sort of get in that pattern of being able to run next to somebody. I had some other ideas in mind about trying to shadow somebody, but I thought we'll start with a few bit more towards the basic side of things without trying to confuse them with drills that would work but might be too confusing. We ended the session with a game again, as usual, just them playing with each other. There was a 9-man squad today, so it was 4-on-5, and so I said I might join in, and they were kind of like, the other team were a bit scared, and the team that I'll be joining was kind of happy. But they had a good go, and I told them I'm not looking at who's scoring. I want to see who's passing and calling out to each other. And so they were trying to do that a bit more, and they looked like they were. There's one kid who really loves to try and dribble in and score every time he gets the ball. So I'm not trying to take that out of him yet. I want him to just express himself and do whatever he wants, pretty much. Just encouraging every now and again, your teammates are open, you can pass. But he scored a couple of times in the practice game, and he was very happy. Made sure everybody gave each other a high five for that. And then when we finished the session, there was a few kids still hanging around. I was playing with my boys, and I stole the ball off one of them, and I was dribbling around. And my kids love playing basketball with me when I've got the ball, and they've got to try and get it off me because it's really hard for them, because I can dribble around them between my legs, behind my back, and all that, and they just like. They get lost, but they love it because it's a challenge. And so it was a 2v1 on the basketball court, and then one of their friends from the other team saw, and instead of leaving, he joined in for a couple of minutes. And then two of my team who was still hanging around, they joined in. So it was like a 4 or a 5 versus 1. We played like that for a couple of minutes at the end of the training session. They had a blast, and it was good to see them. They ended up tackling me and trying to like really slow me down and grabbing my shirt and everything. So it was a nice way to end the session. They had a lot of fun, and I did too. If you have made it this far in the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to my ramblings and whatever it is. If you have any suggestions down below, please write in the comments, whatever it is, your thoughts, suggestions for being a coach, training, all that kind of thing. I'll be doing this probably weekly. Monday seems like a good time, right after a game, after a training session. While everything's still fresh. So until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.